right, nobody bought this thing, and I kind of wanted to part it out anyways because there's a lot of good parts and a lot of people are hitting me up for those parts. So let's rip it apart. My super duper cookie sheet. I have no clue how many motors were taken apart on this thing or worked on this thing, but it is a lot. I would love to try to figure that out, but I've had this for at least, I want to say 8 years. This thing has seen it. It's been the best. It leaks a little bit now, but not too crazy. Let's get that old girl on there. Do the old walkie-walkie. I'm very graceful. All right, let's take her apart. Pretty much can take the whole top end off with just a 1/2 inch. Actually, I forgot, this is an Evo. So the head studs are 7/16 on this. Again, not a big deal. Let's get right into it. So with these, I'll probably sell these with the hardware and all. Probably not the oil lines. I usually sell the oil lines with the push rods. Not entirely sure why. I just kind of do it. Push rods pop right out. Try to get them one piece. Eliminate the mess. That we'll do the head. Yeah. Ooh, careful. Oh, I got some water in there. Ooh, yuck. Now for these are 9/16, and fortunately, unless you got a good swivel, you got to use a wrench. Get these nice and loose, make sure that's on there. If you're going to do the hammer way, which I don't necessarily recommend, just make sure that you have it nice and snug on there. Alright. Once these are loose, they come right off. As long as like the studs are in good shape and not all rusted out. Like these ones are like, as soon as you crack them loose, you can get them off with the old fingers. With the nuts, I'll just put the nuts back on there when I sell the cases. Just with the nuts. Honestly, the inside of this thing looks pretty good. Pretty sure these years only don't have this big Allen key there. That's the guy. Carefully remove this. Of course, it's staying attached. It's kind of rare, but it happens. Stock cams, nothing too crazy. There. Decent shape. This actually took a hit. And that's prized. Let's go ahead and remove these. Again, when you're prying these out, be very careful not to gouge anything. They'll move. Just give them a little bit of elbow grease and they'll come out. You don't need to go too crazy. You don't have to pry. Sometimes you gotta pry them. I know they even sell like a tool to remove these. But just go nice and easy. They'll come out. Nice and easy. Everybody wants out. I usually do this at the wrong step, which is kind of annoys me that I do it this way, but now that I remembered, I like to remove the sprocket first. It makes pulling the transmission out later easier and all that stuff. Sometimes you have to use a puller to remove the sprocket. If so, not a big deal. This is normal thread. On the newer Evos, it's reverse thread. So what is that? 91 and up, it's reverse thread. And this one, it's normal thread. Sometimes you have to put something there to stop it. It doesn't have to be too strong. You just got to stop it from moving. To pull out the sprockets, you're going to need a little puller tool. I have a couple different ones for the sprocket, the hub on the inside, and the primary sprocket. It pretty much just screws into the sprocket or the rotor and use this to pull it out. Let me show you. Here, here, like so. Pretty straightforward. Works very well. You can also, like the outer bolts, you can just hand tight. Just make sure they go all the way in. And then this one, hand tighten it down. It's not gonna go anymore. Just try to make them even. Makes everything go a little smoother when they're even. Just like that. You can do it by hand if you want. You can use your gun. Comes right out though. There you go. 21 tooth. Now let's go ahead and pull up the primary cover. It's all going to be the same size Allen keys as the cam cover, except you got a, I want to say it's a 9/16 holding on there. That is for the chain tensioner, and then you got to take this off, get in there. We'll do that last. So let's rip this off real quick. So sometimes I sell the stuff with the hardware, sometimes I don't. Mainly because when I store everything for sale, I don't want to like promise. I don't want to promise hardware and then like the hardware go missing in the bin, and it just says sometimes if they request it, and I usually keep it off to the side, I'll add it. But for the most part, I do not. With these, I know there's like a special tool. I don't got it. I kind of just tap at it. They're almost always mangled, so I don't feel bad tapping at it. Like I rarely get one of these where it's just not mangled. Usually once you loosen it up, you can get in there and then just pretty much pop it out. There's going to be a little second block nut in there. 16ths, if anybody's wondering. Comes right out. I keep that together and sell it with the gun. That is a non-negotiable. Now don't forget that 9/16 down there. That thing will pop right out. That's I believe goes right up to the chain tensioner. Pull the primary off. A couple taps. My dusty and trusty orange hammer. Just like that. She's open. So the tensioner is attached to the primary cover on these. Do not be alarmed. But in order to get it off, you're probably gonna have to angle the motor a little bit because that's probably gonna drag against the ground. So you gotta do a couple of these. Work your way around. Don't fret and don't try too hard. Don't gouge nothing. Don't be gentle. Gentle. That's today's word of the day. Gentle. Just like that. That clutch cable, which I'll probably just leave the clutch cable. Ooh, got some water in there. That's gross. Well. Here, you're gonna pull these guys out. Again, you might need the puller to pull this. With these bolts, you want to be real careful because you don't want to bend anything. Obviously, there is a special tool, and no, I do not have that special tool, as crazy as that sounds. But what I do is I put a towel over it and I put a lot of pressure on it and I slowly back these out. It takes a little bit. This is actually probably the longest process of this entire process. Is I just back these out, take tension off that spring, and it'll do one quick pop, nothing crazy, and you're good to go. So you can, start backing these out nice and slow. We'll time lapse that so you don't have to watch the whole thing. Nothing too crazy. Obviously have some good trigger control so you don't get don't go too trigger happy with this. You don't want this thing to come flying out. You want to bend those studs. Tension. But you can just back it out nice and slow. And it's not going to be so bad. Alright, there you go. No harm, no foul. Nobody's eyes got hurt. You're good. I don't necessarily recommend doing that unless you've done it a couple times, because you don't want to put too much tension on one side and start messing up these threads. So very carefully back it out. Now we're going to pop this off, and then we're going to need both pullers to pull these out. The inner hub is an 1.5 inch socket. And that is normal thread as well. Gun's got to be plugged in, if you're wondering. Normal thread, be very careful, like using your hands. I would not recommend doing that. I'm not necessarily holding it too tightly either. I'm kind of just pushing up against it, so if it does start to move, I can pull my hand away. But no, I would not recommend doing that. Just because I've been doing it like that forever, I still, not recommend doing that. Pull this little brass tab off. Sometimes it gets really stuck. Careful, don't gouge anything. There you go. So with this one, you're going to do both outsides kind of at the same time. And it's going to pull it off. Pretty simple. Funny, it doesn't take much pressure, but can't do it by hand. Whole thing comes out. Put those away so you don't lose them. Right. Clutch. Off. Ooh, it's heavy. Let's put this over here. Alright. Transmission's easy. 1/2 inch bolts. I keep those. I'll sell these in the transmission. Pretty sure this transmission's good. Never left second gear when I did ride the bike, so. I'm looking at it, the shaft looks slightly bent, but I guess what shaft ain't bent a little bit. Am I right? Alright, put these right here. Find a good spot. And it just comes right out. Nice and easy. Nothing takes too much effort on these bikes. See that? Nice and easy. Slowly pull this out. When I pull it out, when I feel like the shaft come through the case on the other side, I angle it up just to try to save all those from falling down. Don't worry about those needle bearings. I would just recommend getting new ones. Placing that. There we go, that's the transmission. Shifter shaft. I believe these are a couple years only and they change for 86 and up. This one is a little bent. Not too crazy. All right. So now, we're gonna pull the starter, split the case. That starter, my opinion, this is the best starter Harley's ever came out with. It fits from 82 to 2022. These things are the best. They fit. This will fit a 2022. All is interchangeable. This is why I like these year's Ironhead so much. You still get like the Ironhead look and everything, but you get the modern starter. You don't have a crazy. I mean, if you're into like 4-speeds, if you're not into a 4-speed bike, obviously stay away from Ironheads. But I like these a lot because this starter rarely goes bad. I rarely see bad ones. I've been selling these starters for years, and I get surprised every time I sell one because I'm like, geez, like it's usually misdiagnosed. I've probably seen 2 bad ones in my day, and they were both on Buells. I still test them before I sell them. Now we're gonna go ahead and split the case. Once you split this case, the flywheel is gonna be like pressed into the left side of the case. Then you're gonna have to press it out with a press. I have a press over there, we'll be doing that. But first, make sure you get all the bolts on one side. There's always one hidden here. And this is gonna be all 1/2-inch bolts, except on one bolt on the other side is gonna be an Allen key bolt, which usually is, let's turn that around, it's usually covered in like grime and gunk, so you don't ever see it, and you're sitting here trying to split the case, and the next thing you know, there it is now. This one's not covered in grime, but it's right by the chain, so usually the chain gets all nasty. I'll pull that out. I should have pulled the oil pump out first, but I'll do that second. We'll do that once it's split. I guess it'll be a lot easier to split. Those lifters look pretty scratched up, so I'm probably not going to sell the lifters. Let me get it out of the way. 7/16 on the bottom. Don't forget your Allen key bolt on top, which is right there. I was pointing to the wrong thing. I'm sorry. It is right there. Cool. That off to the side. Now you have these 2 bolts. These are 9/16, and all of these are 9/16 on the way down. No big deal. These are usually going to be the most tightened ones. Not a problem for the old yellow gun. This is my buddy's gun. My mistake, that is not a 9/16. That right there is going to be a 5/8, which I'm pretty sure I brought out, but I guess I didn't. All 1/2 inches, 7/16 on the bottom, 9/16 on the top, 2 bottom. The big stud thing, 5/8. This crazy part only can be removed if you pull these studs or you split the case, so take note of that. You snap one of these in half. Pulling the studs aren't the end of the world, not too hard. Alright, now for the 7/16. Most of the time, you are going to have to put a wrench on the other side, but if you hit it fast enough, maybe you don't. Nope. Nope. Oh, we got one. Pretty annoying. Also, ooh, I just spilled oil everywhere. You've seen that happen, you let it happen. Just kidding. I was just about to say, before I spilled oil everywhere, is that I will use a vacuum thing to suck the oil out of the case before I split it to eliminate a mess, even though I just made a big mess. So, 1 second. So now I'm gonna use my trusty, I don't even know what I call this. I call it my, I don't even know. It's a pump. It's a pump for oil. It's an oil pump. It's a big electric powered oil pump. I hook it to a battery and I drain the case with it. Obviously there's a big mess, but it helps keep some of that mess down. So let me set this up. So I take this hose, I put it all the way at the bottom of the case where all the oil's sitting, and then I'll put it on. Alright, yeah, so there's my oil pan. There's the switch, goes down to the bottom of the case. We'll smack this switch. Make sure that's at the bottom. There you go. This is not that much oil in here, but still enough to. There we go. We got some oil. There we go. Yeah, this thing's great. Alright, remember when I said I was going to pull that off after I split the case? I'm pretty sure you have to pull the oil pump in order to split the case to free it up from those gears. It could be wrong, but I'm just going to do it anyways. Out. These are pretty easy to test. You kind of just move them and see if oil starts moving through them. Part and just check for wear on the gears, but that I'm probably gonna keep over here because it's gonna leak oil for quite a while. So now split the case. I usually take the pistons off first. I'll just do that later. It's not a big deal. The case split on these, sometimes it's super easy, sometimes they fight you. Usually I just tap a couple times. This one happens to be an easy one. Happens to be an easier one. And I just remove the case. There you go. So now we're gonna go and press the flywheel out of the case with my press. That is literally only used for that exact reason. All right, that's the press. I think I got it from Northern Tool, maybe even I got it from Harbor Freight. I've had it for so long, and I literally only use it to remove the flywheels from the bikes. That right there is my little jig that I use, and that pretty much works for all Sportsters. The big twins, I have a different one, it's somewhere else, but Sportsters, that is the same one I use. All right. Get everything all lined up. Make sure the flywheel can spin, because if it can spin, then it's not touching anything. All right. Then I put some towels under the flywheel, which they're already there. I line up the press. Nice and easy. Like I said before, everything is nice and easy. You don't gotta force nothing on any of these stuff. If anybody watched my video on removing these, you can remove these now. Save yourself the time when you're packing the orders. Oh my god. Saving yourself the time later when you're packing the orders. Nice and easy. Press it right out. Boom. Just like that. Take the pressure off the jack. Or the press, whatever you want to call it. It's a bottle jack. So, jack it is. Put your cool little stick away. And I just removed the case from the flywheel carefully. And we're gonna move. There you have it. Alright, man. Hell yeah. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys learned something with my unorthodox ways. If I have any advice for you, it's, you know, take your time and get the right tools. Again, if you need any cases or any other Harley parts, please let me know. Thanks again. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that cool stuff. Share this with your buddies and go take apart your motors.